If not, like if there's no questions coming in, what's up, him? If there's no questions coming in, I'll probably just have this also as a charting session. So if there's no specific questions, I'll just go through, I don't know, I'll just start looking through tickers honestly and then see if there's anything I like. But otherwise, yeah, the goal is for yeah, anyone newer to the tool to sort of voice any questions, concerns they may have. Um, OVZ. So Jules shared BE today, and you want to learn how air pockets work? Yeah, sure. So let me flip over to that. So let me flip back to what BE looked like in the morning. So let's see. All right, so BE didn't really actually have a good floor now that I look at this. Looked like Friday 200 had some decent volume, but anyways, in any case, an air pocket, when will JLock start alerting? What? I mean, isn't JLock on Twitter? What do you mean? OVZ, so BE, right? Air pockets are really when we have strong volume. So say right now BE, right? We have 185 to 215. So we have a very strong ceiling, very strong floor. Obviously, we pump past the ceiling, so I'll cover that in a second. But when you have this kind of scenario going on, all of these very low volume nodes, right? So you see how our king node right here is 374,000. So when you're looking at any kind of node, none of these are even, well, I guess one is above 10%, but all of these are like 10% roughly, a little bit over or below, right? So when you're looking at low nodes that small, a lot of times we're not expecting much resistance, right? Generally, when you're looking for a node that can deflect price, you're looking for something that's at least like a fifth to let's say a quarter, right? Just to give a general rule. So you're looking for something 25% of the king node. So when you see an absence of that, and then you see very strong ceiling in the distance, those very low volume areas are what we call air pockets, right? So the theory there is okay, once we deflect and price starts pushing through that area, there's very little resistance that's going to bounce it the opposite way. So you can expect price to really move through it pretty easily, right? Now, of course, just because it's an air pocket on the heat map doesn't actually mean the chart has no levels. So like you need to also be referencing across to the chart and seeing is there a potential resistance, support, supply demand zone? Like you need to also be checking what's going on the chart. So don't view these in isolation. But when we do have these zones, a lot of times prices it has much less struggles going through them, right? So it'll happen much quicker, and then it'll be there's less chance of rejection halfway through, right? Now, I will say the one danger here is you should not be playing these node to node. So yes, sometimes we do bounce off a strong floor and we go all the way to the next ceiling, but not every time. So the heat seeker, like the tool is best used to gauge like when are we going to have a reaction. We don't always know though, is that reaction going to have a full continuation all the way until it hits a strong ceiling? Or is it just going to be a strong bounce for 30, 50% and then it's going to reverse back down, right? So that's why it's important to like, any trades you're taking, still take your partials, trim and leave runners. But don't like I guess don't be holding a position assuming it's going to just rip 300% every time. So OVZ, hopefully that covers that. The other thing I'll say on these air pockets is sometimes they're going to be positive, sometimes negative. Sometimes it's not really going to matter. Like when they're very, very low volume, it doesn't really matter which one. But sometimes they'll be like a little bit stronger. So this one, they're very soft, like very weak. But generally, we expect a quicker, push through an air pocket, especially if they're negative, if it's negative volume, right? But I would first focus on the volume, right? And then you can focus on the sign afterwards. Hopefully that helps, OVZ. Okay, TTB, could you show us what you look for in a good setup versus when it's invalidated? Yeah, TTD, is this like, or wait, is that TTB? Yeah, TTB, is that relevant to individual tickers or indexes, or like what is the question for? Or both? Mainly looking, okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, although the theory is similar for both, right? So like when you're looking for a trade, whether it's indexes or individuals, obviously indexes, you want to see good confluence across a couple of them, like get correlation there. Um, but assuming you have a strong floor, right? You're playing a floor on the indexes, I don't know, SPY, let's say SPY and QQQ, right? The logic is still the same if you're doing that versus if you're playing an individual ticker like Datadog, for example, right? So if we break under a level, sorry, if we look for strong level to hold, right, where we have strong volume, a lot of time you want to be playing the extremes of the range, right? So if you're playing the very, like where the majority, sort of the lowest, sorry, the lower node where there's almost no volume below, that's like your absolute floor, or you're playing the absolute ceiling. If you're trading one of those, what you're looking for, obviously on the index, I'm assuming you have some confluence there. Um, what you're looking for in terms of is it invalidated or not is okay, there's always a bit of leeway, right, where the nodes can overshoot, sorry, price can overshoot the node. So you give it, let's say like 50 cents to $1 max on SPY QQQ and then like 5 to 10 bucks on SPX. But once you start seeing price push that far under and like hold pretty strong, what's going on is that you may be flipping that floor to a ceiling, right? So I really look for like a full break, like a full node under, right? So again, on SPY QQQ, I'm looking for like a full dollar under because if you see price drop like 30 cents past the node and you already judge it as it's flipping, it could just be an overshoot and then we'll just get a reversal back up. So I like to make sure it's like a full break. And usually I'm gauging that by giving it like a node, the next node under or above, depending which direction you're going. So that's usually how I'm determining if like my thesis is broken. Now, I will say during very volatile periods, so like over the past 2, 3 weeks, right, there's been many cases where we'll overshoot a node by more than usual. So I've been giving it actually like a little bit more time where if it's near a news release or something has just been said like a few minutes previous, I'll actually give it a bit of extra room because I've seen overshoots like up to like a dollar and a half, reverse back down and hold. So it's been like a tricky period there, but that's how I'm generally looking at it, right? Is I look at one node past, and that's sort of, let's say your stop loss, or once you see price push down there or up there and hold, then you're looking at is like your thesis is now invalidated because that floor or ceiling you're playing may have been flipped to the other direction, right? What's up, Myron? So TTB, hopefully that helps. Now, in terms of like what I look for in a good setup, so there's on the indexes, there's a few things I look for, right? One is I want to see the floors align. So if price is pushing down, I want to be able to see that we have, floors on 2 or 3 of the maps, a very strong volume there, right? The other thing you want to look for is that, once price bounces, let's say we're playing calls, right? Once price bounces up, you want to be making sure that there's not any volume right above price that can reject it back down, right? So if you're playing a bounce off of, I don't know, let's say 645, right? In this case, you can bounce from 645 and you're probably going to push, you have like $2, $3 of room all the way up to 647, 648. If these nodes were down here at 646, 647, what that's telling us is sure, we can bounce up, but there's like really no space to move. There's only like half a dollar to $1 of space upwards. So I probably wouldn't take that trade because the risk reward is pretty bad, right? There's not as much of upside you can capture, right? So that's another thing I'll look at. And then the last thing I'll look at is just where volume is, right? So if we're pushing down towards a node, potential floor, and we notice that um, there's just no volume upside and like there's a ton of volume below it, that will also give me a bit of pause, right? Where we kind of have like no big target pulling price up, right? Now, this one's a bit tricky because sometimes what'll happen is one index will have volume below and then the other two will have volume above. So I kind of look across all three and gauge like the overall uh positioning of volume. So again, it's the index is the tricky part is you have to be thinking of all of these things and apply it to 3 different maps at the same time and sort of combine all of that in your mind, right? So it can be a bit tricky, but hopefully that helps TTV. Uh PV. Oh, can I make Trinity bigger and the chart small? Oh, yeah. Uh I don't know, like this. I zoomed in further, so hopefully that's better. Maverick, this is okay. He can't hear me. All right, wait, give me a second, y'all. I need to send. All right. Yeah, no problem, TTB. TTB also, if you're looking for like, I guess we don't have good documentation of like what invalidates a trade, but if you're just looking for like examples of good setups, check in Asgard that trade recap channel I put together. There's like probably 20 or something set up like trade recaps in there that you can sort of start going through and study through those. Um, that'll help give you a few good examples. All right. Yeah, I guess as questions come up, I'll start answering them. Otherwise, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and go through every ticker, but we'll just go through some. And then we can, yeah, I don't know, go from there and see if there's anything good for the week. So typically, I guess one thing I'll say is when I'm looking for strong maps, actually, let me switch over here back to the other chart. TTB, so you got burned in the, yeah, TTB. So there's a lot more documentation that's around now. So I'd encourage just look for it. If you're not able to find it, let me know and I'll send you where you can go towards. So yeah, add me and DM me if you need anything there. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so generally when and it's been a while since I've scanned individual tickers, but usually there's a few things I'm looking for. It's a more long-term play. You're looking for these kind of staircases. So actually I don't know if this is a good chart. Let me check before I say anything. So it look like Amat's been consolidating for a while actually. Um, yeah, so if it's more of a long-term play, one thing I think that is probably I guess there's a lot less documentation on individuals versus indexes, so I can try to cover that a bit for today. So there's a few things, right? When you're looking at individuals, if you're looking for more long term, whether it's shares or just like monthly, 2 months, leaps, whatever you may be trading, you generally want to look for patterns like this where you're seeing like strong staircasing, right? Where this week Vex, or sorry, next week Vex 410, week after 420, week after 430. I know this 450 king node is there, but a lot of times I'll look at sort of the low of the range and I won't look at like the most optimistic case. Because obviously, if we trade in a way that 430 is good, obviously it hits 450, all the better. But if you assume it's going to hit 450 and then we only go to 430, you can get pretty burned if you're taking the wrong contracts. Sorry. Now, the other thing I'll say is just because Vex has a staircasing pattern, or because we have a very strong node upside on Vex, doesn't mean you can just assume price is going to gravitate full up, right? And then just blindly go into any kind of long position. You need to make sure you still have a short-term thesis. So like I think Amat's a good example where we don't actually have a very strong floor, right? Like we don't really have a good level here. And we just had a ton of chop, right? That's 2 weeks. So I'd be waiting for a better short-term thesis to show up here in terms of taking longs before taking a trade like this, right? Right now I wouldn't, I mean the VEX looks nice, but since the GEX doesn't really show us a nice bounce floor, I probably wouldn't be too interested in this. So again, you always want to see like just because the GEX or the VEX looks good doesn't mean you should lose sight of what the other one's telling you, right? Sorry, wait. There's a question on Zoom. So if I trade indices, futures, is the theory to use heat seeker map? Oh, yeah, Zachary. Yeah, so what I recommend is there's a channel in the code and scripts where you kind of get these overlays. So for people that trade futures, what they do is they pull up NQES and they just use QQQ, SPY, and SPX overlays. So they're trading all the same levels, except obviously you're using futures, price action, etc. So I think you can only do this on TradingView. Like if you're I guess like if you're using Trade-Evade or NinjaTrader, you kind of have to do these conversions on a website or something like that. But yeah, I'd recommend you just set it up on TradingView, even if you need to have like two different charts open. And then you can always just do your executions on the other one and then have TradingView to use, to give you these conversions, right? Because otherwise doing it on a website's a headache. But yeah, Zachary. So the other thing I'll say is like the when you're reading Trinity, right? Or sorry, like just because you trade NQ only, let's say, and you don't trade ES, doesn't mean you should only look at QQQ. So you should still be looking at all three indexes and trying to derive like an overall bias for where the overall, where the indexes will all go, right? Whether you execute ES or NQ, that doesn't really matter, but you're trying to get like an overall bias on these. So hopefully that helps, Zachary. Yeah. All right. Anyways, yeah, yeah, no problem. Also, Zachary, if you do mostly futures, I would recommend you go to John's channel or go to the thread. I don't know if someone or I'll actually, can you just add me and DM me and I'll send you a good thread that you can go through. All right. So I know BE already ran, but looks like a lot of that volume is rolled. So 185 was a strong node before. A lot of that volume is rolled to 215. So you could probably actually look for 215 and see if we retest 215, we still have like overall very bullish day. Looks like we may be able to get a continuation, right? See if we can bounce off 215 and then push towards. I would probably target 230 on this wick in case we double top, but you can probably target 230, trim there, and see if you get some runners for further. Yeah, I mean 250 would be crazy over the next 4 days, so like leave some runners on for that. But yeah, so probably this 215 test is what you'd be looking for there. Um, Baidu has Baidu has like a lot of volume actually up here at 140. These Chinese tickers are weird though, because you kind of have to swing them because the majority of the moves happen overnight. But no, actually on this one you'd probably be waiting for a bit lower. Yeah, I don't like the chart. Can you help understand with GFS, MU, or SNDK? Yeah, sure. I don't think GFS is on it. Yeah, GFS isn't. Yeah, MU and SNDK, sure. All right, so let's see here. So due to the push MU has had, actually probably what's happening here is most likely is the VEX is still taking some time to roll higher. So if you notice, probably a lot of this volume, like this OPEX volume at 350 and a lot of this volume at 395, 400, like a lot of that was probably old. And as prices continue pushing up, this volume has like slowly been rolling higher and higher. So this 420 node is now catching some volume, 430. Some upsides finally accumulating. It's like I do think, especially this OPEX column, I don't think MU is actually bearish into May 15. I just think that this is going to need a bit more time for the volume to sort out. Because I don't think MU is going to crash $100 by May 15th. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but usually when we have these big explosive pushes, the VEX needs a bit more time to sort of correct. Whereas the GEX will follow a little quicker, right? So the GEX you'll notice has way less downside. So yeah, so probably MU here, you'd be looking for. Actually, it looks like today we had this retest here. So we kind of had an overshoot of this 440 floor, but we held that and got a nice bounce up in the PM. So that probably would have been the trade here on MU. I don't know. The upside's fairly weak. If we see, so this 420, 395, if this volume rolls, like dies off and we get a lot of increase up here, 500, 482, maybe even 470, you could probably get MU to get a continuation. I don't know if we'd actually push past 470, right? Like this is a pretty strong resistance level. So That'll probably be what I'd be expecting some trouble around there if this move really gets going. But at least right now, it looks like, yeah, 440 got a nice reaction. And that's about it on MU. And then SNDK, yeah, I can also, right, so SanDisk. All right, so SanDisk obviously been moving like massive. It looks like we're consolidating quite a bit actually now. Let me see what the VEX is saying. So SanDisk is in like a massive range. It never tapped 1,000 though. Yeah, I think, yeah, waiting. They probably didn't let it tap 1,000 just because psychological level, probably like the whole world would have tried to short it. So a lot of times when they expect that, they'll just reject early. They either reject early or they'll send it way past before they reject. So right now it looks like 920 is just like a pretty big flip level, honestly. The range is huge on this for the week, right? It looks like we got 1,000 all the way down to like 800, 840. So like that's a massive range. I would actually expect 880 is actually a pretty strong level as well. So I don't know. At this point, yeah, what I probably just keep your eyes on 920, right? Because we've already tested this 920, sort of like this 925, 930-ish level quite a few times. So if we're able to break, hold 920, push higher, we've already tested this level up here a good 4 times. There's a chance we may break out. But again, don't trade the breakout. Either play the reversal lower off 920, like catch that initial reversal, or wait for it to break above, get a retest, and then play that continuation past. Um, but yeah, generally, I stay actually pretty away from these sectors that have been running hot. So like obviously, I know memory has been going crazy, so I actually don't trade. I don't know if I've ever traded SanDisk, I'll be honest. Yeah, Jay. So it takes time to roll over, but that's also something you can check, right? So if you're, wait, let me double check here. Like for those of you in OWLS, right? What you can do is, I know you only get access to the heat maps twice a week, but you can still check what happened on other days, right? So like if you're in SanDisk or interested, or MU, whichever, you can still look what happened. What was the VEX volume yesterday? Or sorry. So what was the VEX volume Friday, last Thursday, last Wednesday? So you can still check that stuff. Like there's still a replay mode within the Heatseeker bot. Um, so that's how you can really confirm is that VEX fading or not, right? Because when I say I assume the VEX is rolling up, obviously I haven't looked into it. You can go back, pull some of those maps, like one map a day over the past week, let's say. And if you see that volume has been shrinking and the nodes higher up have been growing and growing, then that's a clear sign that, yeah, that's what's happening. Whereas sometimes even as price is pushing, if that node is just sticking around, not losing volume, or if it's even growing, then that's a good example of like, okay, price is pushing up, but we still have downside growing. We may get a reversal here, right? But I would expect that those nodes are losing volume. PVI. What happens if price is between two purple nodes or between purple and king node? Yeah. So PVI, first thing I'll mention is that king nodes can be negative, so they can be purple. So yeah, I guess like your question should either be between two purple nodes or a purple and a yellow, or a yellow and a yellow, right? But the king node is either yellow or purple, but it's not always one or the other. So yeah, just one comment there. And then if it's a large range, so I always told people like what matters most is where do we have strong volume, right? So if I see strong volume above or below, I'm looking at that as a floor or a ceiling, depending which one it is, regardless if it's yellow, green, purple, or blue, right? Obviously, yellow and purple are stronger levels, but sometimes green and blue can actually be pretty significant as well. So what matters most is like what is the actual number on that node. So when we have major volume, regardless of the sign, that can hold as a ceiling or as a floor. Now, the sign obviously still matters. So what we can use that for is assessing like how we expect price to move in that area, right? As we go bounce off a positive node, we know generally price will slow down, be a bit more, dampened, less risk of an overshoot. It's a little more stable, right? Negative nodes, obviously, there's an increase in volatility. So then a lot of times we expect steeper overshoots, more explosive moves, and things like that. So it's make sure you're looking at both aspects, right? But yeah, PVI, like if we're between two strong nodes and it's a like and there's a lot of space, right? So like our ceiling and the floor are quite distant from each other. Those are some of my favorite setups, right? Because it's like price is stuck in that range for the week. So then I'm just waiting for either extreme side to get hit, and then once it does, I just trade the reversal, right? So those are some of the simplest setups to trade, honestly. And let me think here. Yeah, PVI. Actually, if you go to my YouTube, I think the most recent trade recap I did is a really good example of what I just mentioned of what you're asking. Not of two purple, but just of like if you have a node above, node below, how do we approach that? Yeah, no problem. All right, so Jay, one more question. Often you hear about air pockets. No, so air pockets is a volume thing, Jay, right? So like if there's a region of low volume nodes, that's what we're looking at as an air pocket. Um, the yeah, so negative volume tends to amplify moves, right? Once we start like really pushing through it. But the air pocket itself is just a low volume pocket, like where all the nodes are very small, are relatively small. So hopefully that helps. Wait, give me a second here. I got another message somewhere. Oh, never mind. It's not important. All right. Yeah. Yeah, no problem, Jay. Did I go over meta? Uh, no, can do it. Yeah, no problem. Elder. Looks like we have a strong wall positioning at 700. Yeah, definitely. It looks like we have a ton of volume up at 700. It makes sense, right? Like 700, very strong psychological level. Like usually these double zero numbers will have a lot of positioning. Um, it actually doesn't line up with this previous swing high. Actually, we don't really have much of a level up here at all. Yeah, so I would say like, yeah, in this case, you just kind of have to wait for 700 to come around, right? I mean, obviously you can use it as a target as well if you see a good floor. So for example, I guess this week not yet, but I don't know. Let's say, this week not much happens. We settle out at 680. If next week this 675 node grows, you can maybe use that as a potential bounce, floor and bounce price up towards 690, 700 into the week after. So yeah, if we get a good floor and a good opportunity, you can definitely see if you can long meta towards 700. If not, which, there's not always going to be an opportunity to take a deflection upwards, then you'd probably just wait till 700, right? And see if we can then short meta, right? So once we actually do start hitting 700, see if there's strong ceiling. We're seeing very little volume above, and then you can probably short meta back down. But yeah, for now, there's not much of a floor here. I guess down at 660. Yeah, so I guess 660 down here on these wicks is maybe the next floor, but I probably wouldn't play this 671. Like 670's already been tested twice, honestly three times if this bounces here. So by the time we come down, hit it the third, fourth time, it's just getting riskier and riskier to play that level, right? So I'd probably skip on 670. All right. Siaga, so just joined. Don't know if you already answered. Do I see SPY hitting 705 or 711 first? Not sure. Let me check here. The SPY map is a mess. Uh, SPY looks pretty split at the moment. So it looks like tomorrow actually we have a ton of volume upside on SPY. But let me check SPX and QQQ before I say anything. So QQQ, sorry, SPX here. SPX kind of neutral, maybe actually favoring downside a little bit. Not really telling us much on tomorrow. Then QQQ. Yeah, I don't know. At least based on the VEX, it's not very clear. It looks like, yeah, SPY QQQ are favoring some upside tomorrow. But these can always reshuffle pretty big time once market opens. So yeah, maybe a slight lean towards upside, see if we can come double top here. Then I don't know, reject or push through. It kind of depends on what we see in the during the day. But yeah, generally with the indexes, I don't do too many long term, not long term, but like I don't do any multi-day swings. Just because I prefer to wait till market opens, see how things reshuffle, and just play when I'm seeing live. So I don't know. I don't really track the macro of the indexes too much, Siaga. So I don't know if that'll help. Yeah, the answer's not too specific, but it's I usually don't stress too much about it. I just see what happens in the moment. Fill the gap. So I think GNRC and KDEF are not on Heatseeker, but yeah, I can go ahead and chart them. Let me see here. So it looks like GNRC looks like it tested this level quite a few times. Looks like it finally broke above though, right? So if, yeah, it looks like yeah, broke above, retested. So if we're holding here, maybe able to get a think you can get a push higher, maybe towards this liquidity here, like 225-ish. But yeah, it's probably my guess there. I have no idea what this company is though, I'll be honest. I don't believe it's on Heatseeker. And then KDEF. I don't know what either of these companies are. But yeah, I'll chart KDEF as well. KDEF, was this spike to 72 all-time highs? Plus the Korean defense industry ETF. What are you trading, bro? Who's asking for this? Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know this sector at all. KDEF, you might be looking for maybe a bearish fib rejection, honestly. So maybe this liquidity kind of lines up with one, like 64, 65. Otherwise, wait for a full push and just play the double top up here at 72. But yeah, other than that, I don't know if I have too much to say on this. I guess in terms of a floor, I don't know if there's a really good floor. I guess maybe down here on this wick. Yeah, maybe you have like a support resistance flip here. Yeah, other than that, I don't know if I have too much to say on these, but yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit. All right. OVZ, do I use Atlas projections? No. So the Atlas projections, right, based on what time frame you're using, they're basically doing what I did mentally, right? Like what they're doing is they're saying, okay, let's say you have it set to three, right? They're taking, I don't know, three, and I think it works basically like you have it on the 3 minute, it'll look at like the next day or something like that, right? And if I'm looking at I don't know, the hourly on Atlas, it's probably going to be looking like a week or a few weeks out, right? What it's doing is probably just bucketing all those nodes, right? So it's saying, okay, like 713 has a ton of volume, and let's say you have the top five nodes, right? So it's probably finding the top five nodes and it's saying it's probably doing a weighted average if I had to assume, right? So you have 713, I don't know, maybe 714, 710, and then maybe, I don't know, 705. So then it's pulling a weighted average across those, and then that's where that projection is actually coming from. So yeah, you'll have to, the most recent video on Glitch's YouTube is where he explains it. So like that'll be more detailed than than what I'm saying, but it is basically like a weighted average, right? Where he's trying to interpolate based on like a few of the top nodes, based on whatever setting you have, where is the expected, where does a lot of that volume lie, right? But again, that the projection feature on Atlas is I would not give it too much weight, y'all. Like still focus on where we have our floors, ceilings. Because if I mean the projection, I can see it's easily going to turn into like people chasing king nodes, right? Where they say, "Oh, the projection's going up or down, whatever. We must go that way." So I would not be giving that too much weight, right? You know, that's still something where he's tweaking the formula, tinkering with it. Like I think he mentioned, like he gave it sort of what he thought would be most useful, but like yeah, if over time data shows that something else is going to be more useful, he'll pivot to that, right? So I would not be full banking on projections off of Atlas, y'all. It's purely based on heatseeker GEXVAX data and not, yeah, OVZ. Right now, Atlas is just heatseeker data. It's not looking at flow seeker. It's not looking at, I don't know, some other database or magical number he's pulling from. So it's, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like obviously you're going to get good engagement with it on Twitter, but he's not, it's just heatseeker data, right? So you know, maybe someday, likely someday he'll implement some kind of flow into it or maybe some other aspects, but um yeah, he's not pulling some like magic number and like we don't even know what the win rate on those projections are, right? Because this just got released 1, 2 weeks ago, so we just don't even have that data yet. All right. All right, so I've been doing a bunch of Owls questions. I'll pivot to Asgard. Stu, yeah, someone asked for Lucid within Asgard, so I'll go over that to cover both. Oh, it's just you, but in Asgard. Okay. I didn't realize you're in both places. Yeah, y'all don't. I get to both sets of questions. Y'all don't have to join in both of them. Um, I swear I looked at Lucid today. I think someone asked me about this in office hours earlier. Or maybe someone texted me about it last night. Yeah, so actually already from the moment I looked at Lucid, whether it was last night or whether it was today in the day, to now, I've already seen, I'm pretty sure this 8.0 node was like at 1.5, 1.6 thousand. Or sorry, 1,600,000, so like 1.6 million. So this has already shrank even over the course of today, and this 6.5 node has grown a ton actually. So just to show y'all, right? So if I switch over here to like 330, yeah, so you see how the 6.5 node has completely ballooned, right, in the past day, and even from end of day, like right, even in this last 30 minutes, this node doubled. Wait, did it? Yeah, yeah, right. So you see we ended at 700. So it looks like right now some of that downside is actually growing. So that's not a great sign. But it looks like that $8 note is getting stronger. Yeah, I'd be pretty worried. I'd be like, if this 6.5 keeps growing tomorrow, I would not be looking to long Lucid. Very pretty sketched out about it. But yeah, right now it looks like $7 can hold. But yeah, if you keep seeing like $8, 8.5 tail off and these negative nodes undergrow a lot, then I'd probably stay away from Lucid. Uh, and Atlas projected it. Well, yeah, I mean, Atlas is gonna project it because this is the strongest node. Again, like Atlas is just going off of heat seeker data. So if this is the strongest node, Atlas is gonna show that it's probably gonna go up, right? There's not some like secret sauce baked in there. At least not yet. AMP, I don't think AMPX. Oh, it is? Yeah, my bad. I didn't even know this was on. I didn't know this was on Heatseeker. Thoughts on AMPX? This map doesn't look too clean. So I mean, yeah, it looked like, yeah, honestly, this doesn't look very clean at all. At least for right now, it looks like we may break out. Seems like we may break out this level here, right? Or like 1950. There's not really a floor there though. there's not really anything. Like this map is not telling us too much. There's definitely some support around here, like 1816, but like that's where we just pushed off of 18 today, off this like negative node. There's just not much going on this. Let me see if I check higher time frames. What is this ticker? Yeah, I guess that's why there's nothing. Yeah, so I mean, if this starts pushing, right? Again, so like if this level holds, like we actually break above and hold, then this is just gonna end up pushing not all-time highs, because like there was that wick when they first IPO'd, it looked like, but yeah, highs for the last year, basically. But yeah, I guess like heat seeker wise, this is not that read is mostly off the chart. Heat seeker wise, there's not much going on here. We just have this king node up here at 25. We don't really have a floor though. Like this is pretty messy for this week. Then next week has like no volume. Has this been seeding? Wait, yeah, sorry, give me a second. Yeah, it is fully seeded. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with that ticker though, so I don't. Whoever asked about it is probably a bit more in tune with it. AOSL. Oh, AOSL. This is semis. All right, so I mean, this thing has been on a tear. Let me see in terms of some resistance coming up. Yeah, there's a bit of a level here. So you probably want that to hold around like 39, 38.7-ish. I don't know, but AOSL, I mean, I don't know what your thesis is on it. Like, are you trying to short this or play continuation? But I guess if you're trying to short it, you might have to wait a little bit higher, honestly. So like these 45 wicks look pretty strong. But yeah, I mean, this is purely off the chart. Yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say on this. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't really play continuation, so I don't know if I have much of an opinion there. Like, if you're playing continuation, like I'm still of the mindset like you want to wait for a pretty steep pullback. So like, I mean, this thing just ripped $6 on the day, so I'd be waiting for some previous high to get hit, right? But this thing, yeah, it looks like it's just ripping. So I don't. Yeah, I might not be the best person to ask here. If you assume that this is just going to trend, I guess you could turn on some EMA and play an EMA bounce. But yeah, like for me, I'd be waiting, see if we retrace all the way down to like even 35, right? And then play a bounce off that. So it's still a reversal. So I'd want a deeper pullback to play a continuation on this, right? Because right now this is given, I mean, what, this reversed like $2 and then just immediately kept ripping. So it's not giving many continuation opportunities, like the way I view it. Um, yeah. So, but yeah, again, Friday. I don't know if these are position. If you're already in these positions, then yeah, you probably just trim out and just be moving your stops up and up and up. But yeah, for taking new entries, I get pretty hesitant with anything that's running big time to like play continuation. Just because I've been trading reversal so long, so I just pivot towards other tickers that are gonna favor that more. All right, CoreWeave. I mean, same thing here, right? Like CoreWeave's been up like 30-40%, right? 30-40% since like past 2 weeks. So yeah, I mean you can look to elongate here, but I would say you'd want to wait for some deeper pullback, right? But let me see what it's showing. Yeah, so this 110 level looks good. Oh wait, did we tap that today? Oh, we basically tap 110 today. Oh, that sucks. Okay, so the 110 level looks great, right? Like we have a ton of volume over the next 4 weeks. I guess even 100 looks pretty decent. But actually it looks like we just bounced off of that today, which is really annoying. But even then, like for the push core we've had, you may actually want a deeper pullback towards 100, maybe 105, see if you can get this previous high here, like the swing high, bounce off of that. So, who has this? Michael. Yeah, Michael. So it'd probably be, yeah, I mean, you're gonna want to look for any of these, like this is a very significant floor, honestly. So maybe you can also see if we go retest 110, next week, 2 weeks out, then play off of that. Once it, after a push like this, it does need some time to consolidate. So, if we have to give it a week or two to consolidate before another leg up, then that's probably healthy, right? But also let me turn on more expirations here. So I would expect CoreWeave has just a ton of volume in the future upside. Yeah, 150, 130, 240. 240 note is crazy though. 280. Yeah, but this is next January. Yeah, I don't know. I usually don't expand all the views. Like I don't expand it to all expirations usually. So I'd probably just be focused on this 110, Michael. 110, possibly 100 if you want like a deeper pullback to get a safer entry. I don't know if this is for shares or what was this for? You swing long on it or like monthly, bi-monthly contracts. All right. Hopefully that helps, Michael. All right. Ye, can I look at coin? Yeah. Nah, this new. Yeah, I need to talk with Glitch. This new entry format is super annoying. So coin based on this week X 212.5, then big volume on 220 is where it can reject. Yeah, so at this point, like 212, 210 looks like it may be trying to form as a as a floor. It's kind of like flipping between ceiling or floor. So right now, kind of hit 212 and just ended the day there. So we have to see if we're able to break above that. So coin this had also been a previous level in the past. Well, actually, it's a little bit higher, like up here, like 213-ish. But we've already tested this level a good 3 times. So if we come up test the fourth time, there's a chance that we can break through. It's either like see if we get some pullback, 210 and play that breakthrough, um, or wait for it to break above, retest, and then play that continuation, right? Yeah. No, they show the coin is like this 216. Yeah, honestly, if we break and retest, like that would at that point you just wait for 220 and short 220. As long as none of this volume upside grows anymore. But yeah, I mean that's the issue. Like the overall market just had such a strong push to all-time highs, so then like a ton of these tickers are looking really extended. Like they haven't had much of a retrace. But hopefully that helps you. But yeah, I would say 220, you can look for a rejection as long as, 250, 230, as long as those nodes don't grow huge, then I wouldn't then 220 looks good and you can play rejection there. All right, so trying to understand, let's say we're looking at Microsoft. Uh yeah. All right, so if we're looking at Microsoft, do we wait to flip 425 to long it? Uh I don't know if I'd long Microsoft though 425. Like the safe thing to do is see if Microsoft retests 400, 405 next week and long off that. But yeah, I guess if we break and retest 425, you could long off that. It's just that, yeah, I mean, if you're doing a $20 push over a month, that Microsoft contract is going to cost like a brick. Um, but the other thing you could do is wait for 425 or even wait for 430 up here, double top, and then play like a short-term rejection back down. But yeah. But yeah, it looks like Microsoft doesn't really have any floors that rolled up, right? Like we have no floors here. So yeah, typically when I have no floors, I'll do what you mentioned. Who asked this? TTB, right? Where you're saying you're either going to wait for a break and retest, wait for a rejection back down, or just go to another ticker, right? Like if you're not seeing a strong floor and you just really have a ceiling, but you're long biased, then just flip to another ticker and come back to Microsoft another time, right? Like remember, right? There's hundreds of tickers, right? So I'm not saying you should go through all of them, but if you have, don't force setups on maps that don't look optimal, right? And just don't, well, I guess like in general, right? Don't force setups. Even if you have a good map, make sure you're waiting for whatever nodes you identified, whatever levels you're looking for, right? All right, so circle. Yeah, circle looks pretty bullish. It had a pretty nice like support resistance flip here today off 100. Actually, this was really clean. Oh, that's super annoying. So honestly, even the rejections off 110 were really clean, which I assume last week probably had a strong volume here at 110 as well. But by now we'd be coming up and hitting it for like the third time. So I probably wouldn't short 110, or it'd be a lot riskier. So I'd probably size it have a little lighter. But if we can break above, like if we can break retest 110, that'd be a pretty good entry long. But best entry was today off 100. But I don't know if you're in there, Benz. Oh, you're already in it. Okay, nice. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of stuff is juice though. Just with a big push, like I think a lot of tickers are pretty juiced on contracts. Cyrus, what are the blue and red dots on my chart? Oh, this is an old indicator. So I actually don't use it. I just have it on my chart. But this is something glitch coded a long time ago. I think he also rarely uses it anymore. Like he has other stuff he prefers to use. So yeah, I mean, I just leave it up, but like, yeah, I'll be honest. Like I don't, when I'm taking entries, I don't pay attention to these things at all. Like you see, I mean, I don't know. This one would have worked out. This one would have gotten killed. So I don't know. So yeah, I don't really have any indicator that I'm actually following. These dots are just there. Yeah, and I actually, so I had access to this like since I joined the group in May, like May of last year. I don't think I turned it on until November or December or something, and I only turned it on because people kept asking me about it in one-on-ones. Um, yeah, so I mean, my reason for not turning it on, right, is you want to learn at least myself, right? Like I wanted to find my thesis, but also my executions, like when I would actually enter and make sure I can do it on my own, right? So if I use some indicator, whether it's glitches or whether it's, I don't know, anything you find online, right? If it's like an actual buy sell signal, my fear was always that I would use that as a crutch, right? So I wouldn't be learning the good entries on my own. I'd just be watching that and relying on it. So only after like basically half a year of working on entries on my own and feeling comfortable on my own, then I turned it on, right? Because at that point I knew it'd just be a confluence and it wouldn't be something I leaned on and avoided learning it myself because of that, right? Uh, NGH, can someone post the SPX cheat sheet? I don't even know what that means. Which SPX cheat sheet? There's probably like 20. NGH, can you send a screenshot or something just so we have a bit more idea of like what that is? Or I guess just a few more details. Otherwise, I'll swap over to yeah, I'll go back to the owls questions. All right. So where are we at? Lucid. Oh, Jay. So I think Jay, I looked at Microsoft. Yeah, I can look at Netflix. Sorry, I missed your original message. Yeah, why did yes, it's like the input to type in the new format is really slow. Because if you type fast, like it won't capture all the letters. This is the most annoying thing I've ever. This is so annoying. All right. All right, Netflix. One looks like a desert, the others are messy. Yeah, so Netflix, let me see. Okay, so yeah, obviously, like earnings tanked it. So it looks like, yeah, we're up at 108. It looks like a lot of volume has rolled lower. So actually, this is a good point of what I was saying earlier, right? Like the Gex is going to reposition a lot quicker than the Vex, right? So if you look at the Gex, max volume up here is towards 100, right? We have a little bit at 102, but almost all of it is rolled down between 93 to 100. The Vex has all this volume between 98 and 100, so it's still taking a bit longer to roll down towards this 93 node, right? So a lot of times the Gex will reposition a lot quicker, right? And that's why we use it for more short-term biased. But at least right now, yeah, 93 looks like it's holding as like absolute floor. We I guess we got close, right? We got to like 93 and a half. The issue here is now we have 95 preventing a lot of upside, right? So you'll see like we did bounce off 93 or at least close to it, but there's very little room upside. So this is what I mentioned earlier of like typically I'm trying to play individual tickers where you see very few nodes, right? And when you get a node and then you have a huge air gap and then the next node, right? Because then you don't run into situations like this where sure Netflix might claim 95 and keep pushing upwards, but it's hard to assume it will when we tap 93, right? Because at that point, you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, we have $2 of upside. Sure, we may get part of that move, but we don't know if it's going to break and continue or is it going to reverse back down. So it's like a very small scalp, right? So yeah, personally, with Netflix, yeah, I guess 93, you could try to play some double bottom off that. Or I guess if we do claim 95, you can try to push towards 98. So toward this like this chop zone. Um, but But yeah, I would expect a ton of this volume probably came crashing down, last week, Thursday, Friday. But also even today, probably a lot of it was repositioning lower and lower because we sank from 98 all the way down. So 98 might have been a good ceiling in the morning actually to play shorts off of, but yeah, I'm not sure what it looked like in the morning. And then TSM, yeah, look at TSM. What? TSM just has like a massive, whoa. TSM just has a massive downside node? 330. Uh, that might be an OPEX thing. Last month we were trading around 340, 330. So actually that might just be a lot of volume from OPEX. So yeah, TSM, what I'd be looking at, there's very little volume actually this week to go off of. So like one, I probably just wouldn't trade TSM, right? But it looks like yeah, we've been consolidating a bit. So if you're gonna play downside, if you want to like get some kind of move towards this node, you'd probably be looking see if we can break under 360, break and retest 360 to the downside. But otherwise, yeah, there's not much. Yeah, I mean, it's just no volume, right, over the next 3 weeks. So until we see a bit more emerge, there's not too much I would say on this. Guess you could also look at this as a wedge and see if you break the wedge to upside. All right, can I check DFT? What kind of tickers y'all playing? DFTX? What the? What is this? Um, I don't know if they're getting news or something. Like, I don't know why they gapped up this hard, retraced, and now are bouncing again. But yeah, I guess you can look for some kind of like retrace back down to 23, see if you get a continuation there. I don't know what else you would do. I guess you could also look for, see if we play a double top up here with this 28, 29 wick. But yeah, this is it's pretty funky mover, honestly. DFTX. Yeah, CMPS. I think y'all are playing more continuation plays. That's what it looks like. Yeah, this thing just broke out massive. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't, I wouldn't really trade this. I mean, after a move like this, right? Even if you are playing continuation, you still want to see some consolidation. Whether we flag, we get a small retrace, like you're still gonna wait for some consolidation before you get like the next leg up. So even if I mean, it's been a while since I've traded continuations, but yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, you don't. It's hard to catch them right after they just legged up, right? Generally, you got to give them a bit of time to settle down and then play the next one, the next leg. Uh, yeah, Jay, no problem. Happy to do it. So yeah, PVI, honestly, like I don't have much of an opinion on those, to be honest. And if it's long term, yeah, I mean, I'd have to look into the sectors a bit more, and but yeah, I have no idea on those two. Stu Weeble has had a nice move. Oh, do we? No, I don't believe so. Yeah, I mean, usually not every ticker, but usually I'll recognize a ticker if it's on Heat Seeker. So anytime I say I don't know it, then most times it hasn't been added. I mean, yeah, it might get added in the future, but at least currently it's not added. What the hell? Weeble ran 50%. Oh, was this maybe after they removed the pattern day trade or when they lowered the limit? That's what's causing Weeble to rip. Oh man, that's annoying. And I had Weeble shares a while ago. Probably had them over here on this triple bottom. I probably just sold them. I don't know. I probably had a break even stop loss, honestly. That sucks. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't realize we was pushing this hard. Um, so you may a dip back to 7 to re-enter if it fills the overnight gap. What do you see on this one? It's a little confusing when you change the view on Heatseeker from a week to a month as the king node changes. Oh, I mean, Stu, if you're not taking very long-term positions, I just wouldn't even change it. Like, just leave it on a week or a month. So unless you're looking for like very far out plays, you might as well just leave it on shorter term. So I usually just leave it on the default, right, of like 5 columns for expiration. Um, because yeah, obviously, like as you expand the amount of expirations, if there's any nodes that are stronger, yeah, the king node will shift around. That's just, I mean, that's how it should work, right? But yeah, obviously that can throw you off a little bit. So if I mean, that's the thing. Like, do I want to be trading off of a January 2027 node? Probably not, right? Like, I still want to be focused on stuff that's closer. So I don't know. I typically don't look that far out, I'll be honest. But yeah, at least right now, Webull looks like we have like just a very strong negative node. $7, $7, not ducks. Um, yeah, so it looks like we're claiming that level. Kind of undershot and getting a push up through that. I think someone had sent this earlier in the chat actually. I was like, they're looking at a reverse rug pull, right? So we have positive below negative. So they're looking at that 6.5 to hold. So actually that played out really well. I don't remember who said that though, but someone had been mentioning this. All right. Wolf. Yeah, Sam's. Give me a second here. I mean, yeah, this heat map. Uh, yeah, I don't know what to say here. I guess probably 19. You can look at as a floor for the week. Maybe even 20. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive, like 20 perhaps. I'd probably be waiting for 19 on this strong negative node, but honestly, 20 doesn't look too bad on Wolf. Then you'd be looking for basically this high of week, right? This 21.5. Or if you're playing out to next week, maybe a little bit higher, 22, 23. But yeah, so the OPEX on this ticker This is horrendous, right? You look at the GEX, this is terrible. VEX looks a little bit more bullish. Yeah, actually VEX looks a little bit more bullish. So if you can find a nice like 19, 20 bounce, maybe Wolf you can try to play at least into next week. Looks pretty good. You took 25 calls. Shoot. What expiration, Sam's? 25. Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to see how those are moving. So generally, Sam's, when you're looking at like when we have this 25, 26 as like our targets, right? I'll generally go a little bit safer. Like I'll go 23 or 24. Just because like now you really needed to push all the way up there. So then what happens is sometimes we'll get pretty close and either we get there reject or like we sort of just peter out a little bit under. So then theta's going to be really working your contracts over. So a lot of times I'll go a few strikes under just to give it a little bit of cushion and space, right? Because again, like these nodes are targets, right? But sometimes we fall short a little bit, or even if we don't, the issue is if you have a 25 call and price pushes to 24.88, you're still going to have worthless contracts, even though you're correct on the move, right? And you're just off by a little bit. So yeah, just try bring them in a little closer to the money. Like not too far, obviously. Then I know it's like it's just going to cost too much, but you can get probably a few strikes under and still be similar risk, like capital to enter the trade, but you'll be a lot safer in the way that it moves. Yeah, so try that out, Sam's. Let me know if that helps. Like just DM me and see if that helps you over the next couple of weeks. All right. So back on Zoom. NGH, can I get all possible setup of SPX from Heatseeker? Oh shoot. I don't how do I open this image? Am I Oh, here we go. Wait, give me a second, NGH. I'm opening the file. This is being really slow. Is it my computer that's slow? So on April 17th. Oh, um, so NGH, first thing is you'll want to use Trinity, right? So if we go to April 17th, so yeah, someone texted me about this already. Someone has in the group chat, I'm pretty sure. So we go to April 17th. I don't know what time you're looking at, but it's probably around here. No, actually, it's probably a little earlier. When did we get that big rejection on Friday? I think it was around 1, right? Yeah, so I think your timestamp is somewhere around here. Sure, SPX looks like we have a lot of upside volume still. I mean, we do, right? 7160 is a very strong node. Looks like we can still push in maybe another 10 bucks, 15 bucks. You have to be looking at all three though, right? Like when you look at SPY here, SPY's hitting a huge node at 712, right? Which can act as a ceiling. Obviously we may overshoot, it's a negative node, right? But this is still a massive ceiling. QQQ as well, right? We have 650, 651 as like a rug pull here, right? So we're very close to 650. So you're running into two maps that have a ceiling that may reject price down. Obviously, SPX doesn't, but again, we're going. So we have to look at all three. So when we see SPY and QQQ like that, that's probably a clue for us of like, okay, we probably shouldn't long into ceilings on SPY and QQQ, even if SPX is showing that we can go up a little further. So always make sure you're looking across the board, NGH. If you're ever looking at one of these tickers trading off of that exclusively, like it's a pretty high risk thing to do. Cyrus, there weren't any rolling floors. Uh, oh, Cyrus, I don't know what comment that was for. There's no rolling floors on that day. That's what made last week's trending day a confident play. Uh, I don't know what day that initial sentence is about, but yeah, I agree with you that like last week a lot of the trends. the floors would push with the price. So it's pretty easy to say, okay, here's a bit of a retrace. We're now hitting one of those floors that has continued to push up and up and up, and those are the plays people would take, right? If they missed the initial pump. So yeah, absolutely, you're correct on that part. NGH, hopefully that answered your question. P Dog, can I look at BE? I mean, yeah, yeah, I looked at BE earlier. So BE, I mean, you're just waiting for that retrace, see if we can hit 215. That's about it. Like the GEX that level has rolled higher, so that's probably what I'd be looking for. Keep an eye out for any messages from Jewel in Swing Ideas or Oracle Insights because he has his eyes on BE. So yeah, I'll let him. Like he's been posting TA on that all day. Well, and a few other ones as well. All right, Cyrus. So on Trinity, okay. So today, Trinity 1107, 1106. What I consider 790 and 643, 790, a 2 out of 2 rug play. It is where it overshot soon after and bounced up. Uh, Rug pull or inverse rug pull, Cyrus? Uh, Either way, no. Like, I guess kind of like you can say 642, 643 is an inverse rug pull or a reverse rug pull. But honestly, like I'd just be looking at these negative nodes as a floor. Like if you stack these two negative nodes, that's 35,000 volume. So, obviously it's not as strong as the king node, but that's still a significant amount of volume. I'm just looking at those prices coming in from above, and you're saying, okay, there's a potential we wick pretty hard through them. We actually wick past 643, and we can hold those and play a floor. So, like for the rug pull and SPX, I'm not looking at as a reverse rug pull at all. Like you can look at 785, 7085 as a floor. It's a very small gatekeeper, but you could say it is. I'm not looking at this as a reverse rug pull because 7090, this is 1/10 of the king node, right, in volume. So I'm not even looking at this much at all, right? I'm just like, okay, this is like basically an air pocket. If we tap 7085, there's a chance we can get a bit of a bounce here, right? And it was also aligning with like previous day low, so that'd be the thesis there. But yeah, I'm just viewing this more as a bounce off this node. Like this 7090 node is too small. So like rug pulls should be significant nodes, right? So like SPY 708, 707, this is a rug pull, right? Like these are two very strong nodes. You could call that a rug pull. But if you're looking at stuff that's very low volume, yeah, I wouldn't be calling it a rug pull or a reverse rug pull. So actually, like I didn't like this setup at all for low of day today because sure, you could say 7085 and even 643, like we have a couple floors here, but SPY had a rug pull right above price. So it looked like it would be something where it push into 708 or 707 and it could just reject off, right? And it kind of did actually. Like we got a bit of a rejection. Um, But then what I mentioned earlier is what I'm highlighting here. Like even if you have two floors that align, I know it worked out here, right? But like in some cases, what's going to happen is you play upside calls. If we have a ceiling right above price, though, it can be a very stunted move. So again, not every time. Like sometimes it will, move, get a pretty strong move. And obviously today was the day where like it kind of pushed through it eventually. But there's going to be other days where like a situation like this is going to kill any contracts you play upwards because it'll start stalling out or reject back down, etc. So I usually don't like to, even if it's a 2 out of 2, let's say 2 out of 2 confluence on floors, I usually don't like to play if the third map is opposing it. I usually don't. I'll skip those. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Hopefully that helps, Cyrus. Okay. Marvel. Yeah, Marvel, you're probably waiting for a pullback, 145, 146. 147. Today we pulled back 145, got a nice bounce off of that. So yeah, like Marvel did have its floor shift up pretty quickly actually after this gap up. So 145 held pretty nice. Um, so yeah, I don't know at this point. Maybe you'd be waiting to see if we push a little higher, maybe we can like retest 150 like continuation, but at least right now, yeah, you'd want to see either some of this volume roll up or see if we can retest this swing high and play that continuation. But yeah, it doesn't really have a strong ceiling at all. So I don't know. It looks like it might keep pushing. I got the shift. So okay, nice, Edward. You got in long. Jay, is it a good idea to buy calls by looking at VEX trend, which is months out? Jay, so I've been pretty avoidant of it. Um, probably probably like too avoidant, I'll be honest. But I just pivoted towards indexes and just focused a bit more time there. Just dealt with a few missed opportunities on individuals, but um, yeah, definitely. I think it's a tricky period, right? Because it seems like stuff maybe. I mean, they say stuff is settling down, but I don't know if all that stuff in the Middle East flares up again, then you could run into the same issue. But it seems like they've been chilling out a little bit. So you may be a bit safer to load more long term. But what I do in this case, right, when we're pushing all-time highs, another big thing is sector rotation, right? So some sectors will run weak at times while others surge. So the key there is if you can find which sectors are going to run or are looking like they're going to run soon and pivot towards like the top tickers of those sectors, that'll help you out a lot into like which trades you're actually taking. So to do that, what you can do, so you go look at all the sector ETFs, right? So like all these XLB and everything after that, just Google which sector correlates to what. And then if you see a reversal setting up on one of these sectors, then it's probably a good idea to go look at some of the tickers in that sector and then, take those, right? So like, I don't know, XLF, if XLF retests 52 and we're expecting a bounce there, then you probably want to go look at whatever, I don't know what sector this is, but like whatever the top sector tickers are in that sector, then you can probably get a nice setup there. So that, yeah, that's roughly what I mean there. I mean, I think John uses that strategy a lot. I don't check the sector ETFs too much, but I should, I'll be honest. Um, but yeah, Jay, like overall, I've been staying like actually all cash. I think a lot of people have been staying pretty cash heavy just due to everything going on. So, all right, open. Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah, open has a pretty good reverse rug. If we go double bottom on that 5.1 level, you can get another leg up. Yeah, but the thing is, like, any chart you look at, it's not even just memes, right? It's just everything ran. So, yeah, so yeah, a lot of these, I don't know if we're gonna get very deep pullbacks. Like, it seems like we're just gonna get some of these have had some pretty shallow pullbacks and just continued that move that's been happening over the past 2 weeks. Is that Bed Bath and Beyond or something? What's this guy trading? I think I traded that once, I'll be honest. That was a long time ago though. Yeah, BlackBerry. Yeah, BlackBerry's ripping. You'd be up 50% on shares on this. What the? Yeah, BlackBerry looks like it's going for $6. What is this even moving off of? Intel. Yeah, Intel looks like 65. See if this like double top that ended up breaking. If we can hold that, we can get another push. Looks like there's a lot of volume at 80 actually over the next 2 weeks, as well as 70 on OPEX. 50. This is a weird node down here at 50. This is weird map actually. Yeah, I'd say for now, if we can hold 65, this negative node, you can look for a bit further up. But if we come sort of break under and hold 60, if we flip 65 to the ceiling, then it may be 60 you want to look at as a target, or at least 62, right? On this sort of on these support resistance level here. Yeah, right. Hymns. Yeah, it looks like 30's rolled up. So 30's rolled up as a floor. So, right around here this wick. Yeah, maybe retest of 30 looks decent, honestly. Not a ton of upside, right? It looks like 32, 33. We're going to run into some trouble. So, and I have a line drawn here at 33. So, yeah, it looks like 33 previous support resistance. So, yeah, I mean, there's still some upside there, right? Definitely so. But yeah. All right. Hopefully that helps, Edward. TTB, you got OKLO. Uh, I don't know. When OKLO moves, it usually moves pretty big time. You got 64 Ps. Are you cooked? Uh, I don't know when you entered these, PTB. You might be though. Like we just bounced off 64 today. Actually, like that was a great trade off 64 upwards. I don't know when you entered 64p or like, what contract, what price. Oh, sorry, I know what contract, but I don't know what price, how many or anything, any of that. So oh wait, did my audio disconnect? No, I don't think so. All right. Anyways, TTB. Yeah, TTB. I don't know about okay, low. I'm not seeing a great. I mean, there's potential. Like I don't see a great ceiling here. Maybe 69. So if this swing high up here holds, maybe we tap that, reject, kind of get like a head and shoulders ish. Then push to 64, 65. Honestly, 64, 65, I'd be seeing if you want to long again, but yeah. But yeah, TTB, can you DM me that entry on Discord? Curious what time you got in. But yeah. All right. Yeah, let's just we can chat there. All right. The Wolf. What is this? The Wolf of All Streets? And I took a look at Wolf of All Streets. Did you typo that? A firm, maybe? Is there something actually called form? No way, right? Oh, I don't know what this is. Okay, everything is just on like a crazy run. I mean, this is just an all-time high. This is just an all-time high rip. Yeah, if this wasn't a typo, I don't really know what you do with form, right? So I mean, at this point, so I know what some people do. I don't ever do this, right? But like what some people do is they'll start looking at like fib extensions. So like, oh, like, how do I change these settings? Oh shoot, mine are reversed. Ah, damn. Yeah, but they'd be looking at like the negative 1.68, let's say. Why is mine so, or is it the negative 0.618? Yeah, so like some people go look at fib extensions like this. I personally don't. But that's really the only way you can look at this. Or I guess like you could look at a standard deviation. So like some people, how do people do this? Like people will say, oh, like we have manipulation leg down, and then they'll start looking at standard deviations. So they'll be like, oh, like once you hit two, there's a chance of rejection, etc. So again, I'm like learning this stuff. I'm not too well versed in it, but yeah. So for example, you have a four here, etc. So I do it mostly on indexes. So I don't know if it applies the same on individuals, but I don't know. Tickers that are running all-time highs, I like never trade them. I mean, the only way you can trade this, I guess, if continuation is just wait for a retest, wait for it to retest the previous all-time high, just long it again, and just assume it's going to keep going. But shorting an all-time high ticker is pretty tricky, right? So yeah, I don't. Uh, yeah, Wolf of All Streets. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably not too helpful there, but I generally don't trade those tickers much. Can we make requests? Yeah, Sam's, are you in Asgard? Can you DM me? I'll send you where to do that. Yeah, but the portal link, actually, I can just show you. So I think if you click your username, click portal, and then just submit a request. Actually, I need to read through these. Maybe there's something that I need to, probably something I need to change. But yeah, anyways, yeah. So if you click your little bubble, press portal, and you should get there. Yeah, and if I don't know, if for some reason you forget that, then there's a link within the new to Skylit server. There's a link that should be at the very bottom. I have it included. All right. Yeah, anything else? I think we've already been going like hour and a half, and at 11 I have a one-on-one, so I have a few more minutes, but otherwise I think cut it off here unless someone else has a question. Dolce, what's up, man? Yeah, no problems too. Yeah, thanks all for joining. Hopefully it was helpful, and then yeah, have a good night, everyone, and yeah, good luck tomorrow. Oh, Dolce, you've been here? I thought you just joined lately. Last question. Any screener setup you'd recommend? Uh, Jay, you're saying a screener like on TradingView? Uh, no. It's been a long time since I've used screeners. Jay, would I recommend like if you're especially like if you're trying to use like from the heat seeker perspective, like I would just pick go pick out like 30, 40 tickers that you know, I don't know, you've traded before, you know they get good volume. If you need a short list, DM me and I can send you a list that I'll probably send you Jules' list. His is pretty good. But the goal is like you want to be trading tickers that have good volume, right? Like you don't want to be trading like Take Two software, right? Where it's, terrible volume, a lot of bid ask issues, stuff like that. You'd prefer to trade CoreWeave or I don't know, NVIDIA, AMD, right? So I'd pick out like a short list of like 30, 40 tickers that respect the maps, they have good volume, the bid ask spread on the contracts isn't terrible, like it's healthy, and just focus on those, right? Always chart those, look at the heat maps for those, and just get comfortable with those tickers, right? So you don't really need to be like scanning for new stuff. I would approach it that way because it kind of just like it vastly simplifies the picture, right? And again, if you need any help like selecting your short list, either go off of like prior experience, just stuff you've traded in the past, or if you need help, let me know and I can try to give you like a general grasp of what I do. Sam's, yeah, text me a reminder. I'll send you Jules' list. Both of you, Sam's and Jay. Yeah, and I'll get that over to you later tonight. All right. Anything else? And then Jay. I think Sam's, you are in Asgard. I'm pretty sure, or you were. Yeah, you are. And then Jay. I think Jay, you're not. So Jay, like, if you have any questions tomorrow while you're looking at these maps live, DM me or just message within like that Heatseeker support channel. So like don't be afraid to. I mean, I won't be able to get to it lightning fast, but I'll get you a response at some point, right? So, even as you're testing some of this stuff out, if something seems a bit off, just try to note down like what time you took the entry and like just roughly explain your thesis, like what you were thinking. Then I'll be able to take a look later in the afternoon or at night, and then I'll just get you some feedback there, right? Because it's a lot to learn, right? So I mean, these sessions are to help y'all, but then if you also just need to look through any extra resources, let me know and I can point you to the right places. Because, yeah, whether y'all are in Asgard, OWLS, the point, we want everyone to be using them effectively, right? So yeah, don't hesitate to ask any questions on that. All right. Yeah, I think I'll cut the recording here. Yeah, this will be posted on my YouTube. Oh shoot, someone had messaged me. And I already replied to that. Okay, yeah. So in that case, thanks everyone for joining. And again, every Monday, yeah, starting around 9:30, depends how late I eat dinner, but I'll be doing these sessions. Um, okay, yeah, hopefully y'all have a good night then, everyone.